Today I want to take a few minutes and walk you through what you will need to do when you get your portrait CD back from your photographer. The first step is you want to make sure you have the right CD. Your photographer should send you a yearbook version CD, and that will be clearly marked on the envelope. The yearbook version of the CD has higher resolution images that are print ready, and you also will typically receive an admin version of your pictures. That admin version is just for the office to use in your data management program. But the admin version of the CD is a lower resolution version. So you want to make sure you have the yearbook version CD from your photographer. You should expect to receive that back from your photographer 2 to 3 weeks after the pictures or remakes are completed. Once you get that CD, you will go to your kit, and in the plastic bag in your kit that has mailing materials, you should see a envelope, a hard envelope that looks like the one on the screen. On the front of that envelope, there's several things you'll need to fill in. You'll need to put your return address and your job number. And you also need to mark the mailer contains a portrait CD. And then there are some pre-printed labels for the Jostens address that you will need to send that to. So you just put that on the envelope. The address is shown here, 451 International Boulevard in Clarksville, Tennessee. Then flip that over on the back and complete the questions on the back. So you're going to be looking at marking color photos. Portraits will print in color. For the sort photos, this is where you'll mark whether you want it sorted by grade or teacher or homeroom. And then where it says duplicate images, I usually just go ahead and mark that because if your disc has remakes on there and they put both the original and the remake, you want to be able to choose which picture to use. So by checking this, it'll include the duplicates. Last thing to do before you close it up is just to make sure you've also put your job number on the disc. So take a Sharpie marker, write that on the disc so that if it gets misplaced in the plant, they would know which job it belongs to. Seal that up, send it in, and it usually takes about a week for those to get loaded to your site. So once your photos are received and loaded, you will see those in your image library in the portrait section. And in the portrait section, you're going to see folders, ever how you told us to organize them. And then the next thing you will need to do is edit your photos. So there is a couple of steps to take to make sure that you've edited your photos. The first thing you'll want to do is take each folder. So I'm going to click on the 07 folder, 7th grade folder here. And just above the list of folders, you're going to have an option that says Preview. If you click on Preview, what it will give you is a PDF of all the images in that category. And then you can either print or email that to teachers so that they can mark any changes. So this is where you would want to have someone put a second set of eyes on this who could clearly identify, is there anyone whose name's spelled wrong? Is there any of the names that don't match the face? Are there any students that are showing here in this grade or this class that really are not in that grade or class? And if so, where would they need to be? Or anyone that is in their class that's not showing on this list that you would need to have added. I encourage you to put kind of a cover letter on those if you print it out to teachers. Give them a couple of days deadline to turn that back into you, and then you'll be ready to make the changes. Now, to make the changes, you do those in the image library. I'm going to walk you through the primary changes that we see that need to be made. The first type of change is someone whose name is spelled wrong. So to change a name, you would just double click on the picture. It's going to bring up that picture in your work window. Under the People tab, just beside the name, there's an icon that looks like a pencil. You'll click on that pencil, and this is where you can change your name. So Bridget here is supposed to have a D, B-R-I-D-G-E-T-T-E, Bridget Canton. I put the D in, I say OK, and then I say Done. And that will change her name. I will need to refresh my screen to see the change here. But that's how you change the name. The second type of edit is maybe someone who is in the wrong grade. So Terry Carson here is not in 7th grade. Terry is actually in 9th grade. So if she's misplaced based on the photographer file, I would just click on Terry, click and drag, and drop her into the folder that she belongs in, and that will move her out. You also may end up with situations where there are duplicates. So notice that in this case, and this is a demo site, so you got lots of oddities here, but if you have a remake, let's say, and their original and the remake are in here, if you have two pictures of the same student, the way that you would mark that picture to not be used is I would double click on the picture. I would click on the Details tab, and the second option down where it says Use Portrait, I would say Don't Use Portrait, and then I would apply the changes and say Done. So again, that's in a case to where you have two pictures of the same student. One of those you do not want to use, so that's how you would mark it so that it does not flow onto the page. It's going to then mask that photo with a Don't Use tag, so you can still see that the photo's there, but it will not flow onto the page with the rest of the students. Okay, so those are the three primary changes that you would see: how to change a name, how to move a student into the correct grade or class, and how to mark a duplicate to not flow into the pages. The last piece of editing is if you determine that you have students who were not there for picture day, there are a couple of different ways that you can include them. Some schools will simply just create a list of names and list those. Other schools will create a page somewhere else in the yearbook that will be pictures of those that either were late arrivers this year or missed picture day, and you'll put them in on another page. If you do want to incorporate them in with their class, you can do that though. There's just a couple extra steps to that. This is the best way to do it. You would, in an activity folder, so I've created one that says Missed Portraits. I would create that folder and then upload into that folder any of the pictures that I have taken of students that missed picture day. So I'm going to upload a picture here. And then once that picture is uploaded, I can drag him into the correct folder. So I'm going to put Tommy into the 07 folder now. I'm going to go back to my 07 folder, and I would double click on Tommy's picture, and notice that obviously he's not tagged like the other ones were, so I need to come in and I need to tag his name. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to add his name. And so his name is Tommy Fredericks. And I would add and say Done. And so then it will put Tommy in alphabetical order with everyone else. All right, so in the next video, I'll walk through how to set up your templates and flow these classes onto pages. But in this video, I wanted to make sure you understand what do you do with eCD when you get it, how do you get it to us, and then how do you edit those that may need changes once it gets on the site.